Um, Hi, my name's Nora, and I'm going to be interviewing these three men. Hi, my name is Nora, and I'm interviewing the ClassActsTour for the. So.
Why don't we tell you the titles of our book first?
Okay.
Will that help you?
Yeah.
All right. Jared, do you want to?
Sure. Well, my name is Jared Krasoska, and I wrote the Platypus Police Squad series. Well, I write the Platypus Police Squad series, and the first book is called The Frog Who Croaked.
I am Christopher Healy, and I write the Hero's Guide series, the Hero's Guide to Saving Your Kingdom, and the Hero's Guide to Storming the Castle.
And I'm Soman Shanani, and I wrote The School for Good and Evil, which is going to be a trilogy, and this is the first one.
So the books are all chapter books, and are there any similarities in the books?
Interesting question.
My book has pictures.
So does mine.
I think
They all
of us
have pictures.
Yeah.
My books are about platypuses. Do you guys have platypuses? in yours?
I have one platypus.
Do you really have a
During an animal
platypus?
stampede, I think there's platypuses
platypus.
running out of the
I
forest.
think there's a mention of a platypus in one of mine.
Really? So we have that in common. My books are about cops.
There's no cop. The cops weren't invented.
There's a sheriff in one of mine.
Police-ish.
Police-ish. There are constables, soldiers. There's law. There are law people.
My book is, I think, like 220 pages. How long
Ours
is
is
yours?
double.
Yeah, ours are both, nearing 500 pages.
And both
Sounds like a lot of
ours
work.
deal with fairy tales.
Yeah.
Yours is about platypuses. So it feels like me and Chris are on like one team.
You're on the
We're
fairy
all
tale
alone
team,
on the other team.
and I'm on the
Yes.
detective team.
Yes, mine is kind of about how silly and strange fairy tales can be, and
What would you say mine's more about?
I mean, yours is about how fairy tales, like, where they came from.
Right.
And a story about how one of the fairy tales sort of was different from the other fairy tales, where all the girls didn't, all the, like, pretty girls with pretty hair and pretty dresses didn't go to the princess house and become pretty princesses and get saved by the prince, but they get saved by, true love doesn't always have to be a prince.
There you
It
go.
can be your best friend.
She summed up the book quite nicely. We should send her on tour instead of me.
and what would you say my books are about?
Your books are about how, even in the stories, how Briar Rose is all nice and pretty and everything sort of goes her way accidentally, like just because of the curse, she gets everything that she wants. Like, she gets to live in a cottage, she gets to have fairy godmothers, and she gets to meet a prince, have pretty dresses, but in your book, it's sort of more like Briar Rose is all spoiled, and if she wanted an elephant, her butler would have to dress up, like eat a lot of food for a month, and then dress up and paint himself all gray and pretend to be an elephant if they couldn't get an elephant. So, and all the princes aren't all like heroic and know what to do. They kind of don't all know what to do.
Yeah.
And Duncan, he's not like the prince in Snow White. He's like, in the original story, he's more sort of clueless. Because the guy there, he was like, she's so pretty, I'm going to take her away. But Duncan's more like, oh, hey, there's a woman in the glass case. I wonder where I should take her. Like, is there anything bad about that? And then he's like, oh, hey, there's a woman. Oh, look, there's a squirrel. I'm going to name him Jumpy Jay or something.
That's a good Duncan name. Yeah, he would come with a name like that.
And just the book is sort of like the opposite of how you really see it. Like, they're all sort of headstrong and they know what to do, and the princesses are all like, Lily, I'm a princess. I'm going to get saved by a prince someday. And then in the Hero's Guide books, they're sort of more like, doesn't just go and live happily ever after. She sort of wants to have adventures. And the prince is like, I'm just going to sit here and be perfect so I don't mess up anything. But I think his dad sort of had something to do with that, because Prince Frederick's dad, if he wasn't so like, you have to stay here and do nothing, then he could have realized that adventure would be better for him and he could actually marry Ella.
That was amazing. Thank you. And what do you think Jared's book is about?
Well, I haven't read his platypus book, but I've read the lunch lady. I want it to be about these platypuses that sort of solve crimes, but not like in a regular way, like in Lunch Lady, how sort of like in Lunch Lady, how they have like the gadgets that are but look like food, but I want them to not have gadgets. I want them to be like regular police officers, but they know like karate or something.
Well, they don't know karate, but they it's funny, like the Lunch Lady books are not as realistic as the Platypus Police Squad books. So it sounds silly, the Platypus Police Squad books are the most serious books I've ever written, because even though they're platypuses,
I want it to be more funny, because
well, it is
they're
funny because they're
animals.
platypuses and animals, but they don't.
More like-
but they have consequences. Like the world of Lunch Lady, there's not a ton of consequences because it's very cartoony. So
And in Lunch Lady-
they can really get hurt in platypus. In Lunch Lady, there's explosions and stuff, and they just dust themselves off and walk out.
And in Lunch Lady, one time there was like this thing in Paris or something for the picture
Yes.
day peril, and it's like one time they were at the school and then next picture they were in Paris.
Well, they were in Paris. They were in New York City. They had to stop the guy from getting to Paris, from leaving for Paris.
But it was like,
How would they get that far?
yeah, on this little motorcycle.
Yeah.
And where did they find all that fancy clothing to get in there?
Exactly.
It's not
I
very
don't
real-
have to answer all those questions in the book because the reader just goes with it because it's such an absurd story.
And in the platypus books, it sort of seems like we're platypuses, but we don't care. We're just gonna get you in jail.
Yeah. And platypuses in general, they really don't care how people think or feel.
That's a very clear idea of what your book
I know.
So you're going to wrap it up? You have one last question for all of them?
The books, why did you decide to write the books instead of what made you write these certain books, not some other book?
I had an idea of doing something with animals that were cops, and then I was eventually said, well, maybe they could be platypuses, and that's kind of, it came from wanting to draw animals that were cops. Because I'm an artist, I'm an illustrator too, so sometimes my stories come from wanting to draw something.
For me, it was looking at a lot of old fairy tales that didn't seem to make much sense, and the characters seemed to make really odd, weird choices. And I wanted to write a story that kind of explained why these guys were so weird and why they made such odd decisions in their lives.
I was just tired of good always winning. And I wanted a story where you had to question that. And so you didn't know who was going to win, good or evil. I wanted them to be.
Thank you.
This was Nora for the Galley Club. This was an interview with what was it
Us.
called? Them.